Welcome back to the farm. Here we are for another weekly update. Only running a couple of days late this time. So what's been going on? We've got typical sorts of things happening around the place. The lime trees are still growing limes. There's, like I've said before, they're 1 year old lime trees, so most of them, so we're not really after limes so much. The limes are a bit of a bonus. By rights I should probably be plucking the flowers off and stopping them from flowering, but the new growth is what we're after. We're getting plenty of that. It's all doing well. As you can see, the basil here is coming to the end of its life, but we'll get some seeds off that from the looks of things. And this one here is citrus basil. This one too. In amongst, yeah, they're planted in the lime trees, but that's the way things go. The dragon fruits, we got a couple up through the tops of the tyres. We've got a couple of extra tyres on the top. As you can see, what we're doing is a bit of Rio bar, an old motorcycle tyre on top, and this is a pretty good example of what happens. So they grow up and they'll bend down and rest on the tyre, and then they'll hang down, and the fruits will grow on the hanging down bits, which is exactly what we want. Can't convince him to. Bomb loves the wire. He's not so keen on the on the cable ties. I prefer the cable ties because that's the millennial thing, I guess. So we've got they're all doing well. Some of the new ones are doing real well down there, getting right up the posts. All the lime trees are doing well. As you can see, someone's been here and harvested some of my barnacle, which is the kaffir lime. So that's doing real well. That's looking very healthy. I'm very impressed with that. All got new growth on these lime trees. Again, fantastic. That's what we're expecting, the lime trees. The chillies. Now these chillies are looking a little bit sad today because they were sprayed a couple of days ago with something, and they didn't like it much, obviously. But I think we had something eating them, which wasn't doing them any good. But we're getting chillies. We got about a kilo of red chillies off them the other day. We've got the eggplants, Thai eggplants, or what do they call them, makua. They're producing. We got about 5 kilos off them just the other day too, for this week. So now here we've got triple tape's gone in, and we've got a point here. I think this is the point here. This should be it. So these are going to be long beans going in here, which have been dusted with a bit of lime. And up here we've got the peanuts that we planted the other day, which are starting to show through. These are still all the chillies. As you can see, we've got bloody chillies everywhere. They're beautiful. These ones, these aren't bad when you pick them. They're about that colour too. But because they were sprayed the other day, I'm not picking them. We'll wait another couple of days before picking them. Fruit trees are still doing fruit tree things. They're, again, a couple of years before they do anything. You see the tinge of green in the field across there. That's the peanuts all coming through. They're doing fantastic. You see, here we've got the papayas, getting some good flowers on them there. There's some flowers in under there too. And as you can see, these dragon fruit, these are the new ones that we put in, and they're all kicking on and doing well. Pretty happy with those. We still have this papaya that just doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't want to die, it doesn't want to grow, but now we'll keep putting water and fertiliser on him until he does something. second planting of the eggplants is starting to look a bit better. They're starting to come up. You can see this lemongrass. You know, it's fantastic. Look at how bushy they've got. If you remember from the first time I showed you, they were just single or double stalks going in, and now they're great bunches, which is fantastic. This is the galangal. You can see where they're throwing up extra stalks. That means the root underneath the ground is developing. So these are doing okay. Got something growing there, don't know what that is. So that's doing good. Pepper tree still alive. Other pepper tree still alive. It had a bit of a haircut for some reason, but anyway. That tree, whatever it is I think that one's a jackfruit, but I'm not sure. You know, some things are doing better than others. But here, this is the grachai, or the finger root. And you can see they're starting, apart from the weeds, this is a weed, this is the plant, this is the plant, so they're all doing pretty well. What have we lost here? Oh yeah, here's these little things. These are the pakwan, which apparently are delicious. I think the theory is that the cages were stopping them from growing, so they've been removed. These are the peanuts coming up. You can see we planted the peanuts the other day, and they're all starting to sprout. And we have, of course, a very strange arrangement there, and the reason for that was we ran out of joiners. So he made do with what we had, which was corners. But not to worry. As you can see, this trickle tape, when you let it run, it gives a good soak into the ground. Bamboo, she's doing fantastic there. Look at that second one, second spike that I showed you. She's starting to open out into all the bushy bits too. As I showed you, these two are actually bamboo shoots coming up from separate from the plant, the original planting, so that's doing well. This one here, this was the original shoot that we planted, which was just basically a shoot. Now we've got it shooting up all around from under the ground, so that's a winner. This one here, it's still got more. It's doing well. It's got more growth on it, so just needs a damn good soaking, I think. And it'll start throwing some shoots. And again, this one. So the first one and the third one were the first planting. This one and this one were the second planting, and the second one along was the third planting. So all the bamboo is surviving, and some of it's doing better than others. We've got going to be putting corn in to these fields, I believe. That's what I want. I want corn in those fields. If I get my druthers, I'll be lucky. And probably want corn in there too, but we'll see what happens. It's probably a hell of a lot of corn. I'm not sure if I want that much, but we'll look into it. As you can see, these peanuts, they're all sprouting. And the beauty of this, we're watering where the peanuts are. This is the beauty of trickle tape. You water where your plants are. You don't have to worry so much. You're not having to fill up, like quite often anyone that would irrigate this kind of would flood the furrows and hope that it got water into the plants. Here we're watering right on where the peanuts are, which is fantastic. Our pineapples are still doing fantastic, and this one's got a couple of heads showing on it. They're all getting bigger, and they're pretty happy with those. Be happier if we had a hell of a lot more of them, but you can't have everything. This thing still isn't dead. Still isn't dead. Should be dead. Isn't dead. Don't know. I must have a green thumb. Now, of course we've got the trees there, which are the tamarind trees in a line down there. This is a tree. This is a tree that grows something that the old grandmothers like. I can't remember what it is. It may be a beetle nut tree for all I know. I don't know. Anyway, here's where everything's been happening. This is where we've been putting in the work. We've had some issues. We had some level issues with our pipes. We've had some leaking issues with our grow beds. We have, as you can see, we've got water running. We've got all the beds working. Now we do have some issues. When you see this wet on top, that means that our siphon drain pipe is too high for the level of media in the bed. Now we can either increase the media level or we can shorten the pipe. So this one's all dry on top. That's what we want. Should be, could be a little bit, the pipe could be a little bit shorter in that one too. We'd like to have an inch of dry media over the top, and the reason for that is so that it doesn't grow algae. And again, see, that's not quite, but it's close. It's close to being perfect. Now we've put in these little cups just to stop the splashing, and here we have a bed that's planted. We've got lots of tomatoes in there. We may have to thin them slightly, but not too much. They generally, anything you're growing in aquaponics, you can plant using about half the spacing that you would use if you were planting in dirt. And again, you can see this bed here is wet on top. That means that the pipe needs shortening. We do have a method for doing that. We've got an 8-inch pipe which you can slide down over the top of the drain, the whole system, so you can get your hand in and empty it out. Because of course that's a 4-inch pipe. Inside the 4-inch pipe's a 2-inch pipe. Inside the 2-inch pipe's a 1-inch pipe. Well, actually this is a 2.5-inch pipe inside. So there's a 1-inch pipe down there which is the actual siphon. So what we do is we slide an 8-inch pipe over the top, pull the 4-inch pipe out, can scoop all the gravel out, and we can work on it. Now, there is, if you are building a system, do not make the same mistake I did. We have glued in our 1-inch siphon pipes. Don't glue them in. If you need to adjust them, you want to be able to pull them out and cut them. I've glued them in, which means that we actually have to unscrew them from the bottom of the bed, which just causes issues with leakage, and don't do that. Leave them as a push fit. If you need a better seal, wrap a bit of Teflon tape around them. We had to modify our underneath. We've modified these. We stuck in some T-pieces so that because the fall on our pipe goes uphill a little bit going to the tank, so we were getting a full pipe, which causes a problem. You have to make sure that your drains are not, the end of your drains are not in water, because if they're in water, the water inside the siphon can't push the air out that way and then suck water in. So make sure that you keep the ends of your pipes out of the water. As you see, we've got tomatoes in here. We have pots being filled, and these are a variety of things, leafy vegetables that Thais eat. We do have some lettuce. I think we've got lettuce planted, not sure. I think these are pak choy or something, and these I think are coriander, and things are not quite the way they're meant to be, but it doesn't matter. They are meant to be sorted out so that basically each pipe has a variety in it. After growing 2 weeks in the seed trays, they're meant to go into the pipe for 5 weeks, so theoretically 20 holes should be filled, and then the next week you fill the next 20 holes, and the next week you fill the next 20 holes, and the next week you fill the next 20 holes. We've got 600 holes, so basically, yeah, so that means that each pipe's got 100 holes. So, but right, you fill that, right, once you've got the last ones filled, that means that you're up to week 5. So you'd harvest your first 20 and replace them, and then you harvest your second 20 and replace them, and continue that way. But as you can see, we've got all different size plant starters. I don't know when they were all, whether they were all started together or not. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, something we'll sort out later. Not a problem. We will, teething problems, we'll sort that out. You can see here the return tank now has a lid on it, and it makes for a beautiful place for me to put my chair and table and have my beer when the sun's not on. The tank is full of water. It's a bit cloudy because I've been putting fish food in there to get the ammonia levels up, to get the kickstart the bacteria. So we've been cycling this now for most of this week, which means that we actually have starting to build our bacteria colonies in our grow beds and on the walls and the tanks and the filters and everything else. We added an extra drain because we're having a bit of problem with the pumping too much water for our drain system because of the way I've got it set up. But now we've got, so we now have 2, well, radial flow is not quite the right terminology for it, but it's good enough terminology. The water comes in the pipe up, in the centre pipe, comes up, has to go down the 8-inch pipe, which means it's got to go a lot slower, seeing it's only 2-inch coming in and 8-inch going out, and then it comes up the outside of the tank, which is again a bigger pipe to go into the next filter, and that one is a standard mesh filter. When I say standard mesh, we're using standard shade cloth with mesh. So any solids should be getting caught in the first 2 tanks. There's a possibility some may make it through to this next one. All of that should grow bacteria for nitrifying bacteria in it because of the amount of air that we're going through the system. There's plenty of air going in where this is disturbing the water. There's more air down here. If I need more air, I will add a venturi to that system. The rest of the farm, we've had ploughed up. We just don't have time at the moment to put anything in, you know, like one thing at a time. But we'll put, I'm actually thinking over the other side there where we were, I'll put in yellow corn, and over this side white corn. You've got to keep them a bit separate so they don't cross-pollinate, and that would be perfect. So if we put in white corn over here and yellow corn over there, we'd be laughing. Although I may look at putting in a crop like cassava, which takes very little work once it's planted. But we'll see what we do. And as you can see, we've got everyone. Tom's got his kids working. We've got the missus working. Right, so what we're using is using these little net pots, using a bit of coconut core fibre, and then we're using some stones. I still can't get the message through, a lot of them are not done right anyway, but I'll sort that out. Anyway, as you can see, everything else is holding together very nicely. So it's a quick update. Hopefully it's a bit shorter video this week. Seems people don't like watching for I ramble on for 25 minutes. Yeah. Well. Anyway, there you go. That's your update for the week. We've got our aquaponics up and running. We're growing vegetables. Fish are arriving today, so we'll have fish in the system. It's probably a bit premature, but I'll keep an eye on that and make sure the ammonia levels don't get too high for the fish before the bacteria kicks in and starts slowing it down. And done some water tests. We have got ammonia in the system. Got very little nitrites, got a little bit of nitrate, so the bacteria are colonising. They are starting to do their job, which is great, and I feel pretty confident the fish will be fine. So we're going to have 500 fingerlings going in, or 500 or 600. We're buying 500, but and the nephew's, rather the stepson, the other stepson, who lives over at Mahasarikam, he's got a mate whose father has a fish farm, so we're getting them at the right price. And he said, oh, you throw a couple of hundred in, just in case. Sounds fair to me. I'm not going to say no to all. So, that's where we're up to. So that's your update for, or whatever date it is. It's about October the 25th, 26th, somewhere around there. And that's your update on the Thailand farm. Still got my farming hat on. Still doing a wonderful job. And everything is coming up roses, as they say. We're having a wonderful time. Catch you next week.